Current Wisconsin governor and possible Republican presidential contender Scott Walker was once on track to graduate from Marquette University, a very prestigious college. Yet the aspiring Politico left campus in 1990 and never returned. To this day, then, an air of mystery surrounds his departure. Was the one-time student government candidate forced out over a school scandal involving the disappearance of newspapers that just so happened to endorse Walker's liberal opponent? Or was this a smokescreen for something much less sinister? The incident would appear to have humbled the future governor. He never ran for college office again and left school just a year later without completing his degree. All right, break out your grassy knoll theories here. John Bachman now helps us get to the bottom of all this. John?
Yeah, big deal or not, Ed, that's really the question here. But at this stage of the game, things are shaping up pretty nicely for Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin. And as you mentioned, he may be making a run for the presidency in 2016. He's making waves in New Hampshire, where polls showing he's snagged about 21% of the vote, which is 7 points ahead of Jeb Bush. Now, there are rewards, of course, that come with being the front runner, but there are also risks, and that includes adversaries and establishment news outlets starting to dig up things from your past. The Chicago Tribune did so this week by asking if Scott Walker can win the White House without a presidential, or I should say, college degree. Here are some intriguing issues about this story in Walker's college days. Let's take a look back here. He enrolled at Marquette University in 1986 and was already a volunteer for former Republican Governor Tommy Thompson. But according to PolitiFact, just a few weeks into his first semester, Walker was making enemies by exposing the misuse of some student funds. He headed an investigation into a student government scandal where student funds were inappropriately used to pay for dinner, flowers, and a limousine for student body leaders. Now, that investigation ousted several top student body leaders, while others were forced to resign. And also, as a sophomore, Walker decided to run for student government president. He faced a fierce competition. You mentioned this, Ed, from a guy named John Quigley, a liberal student from Chicago. Both Quigley and Walker's campaigns levied complaints against one another. You mentioned that newspaper article. Walker blamed his opponent for making the race too partisan as well. But Walker's opponent, Quigley, ended up winning that race, and it appears that loss may have humbled the future governor. He never entered another race and dropped out of school 2 years later. In 1990, without completing his degree, Walker moved on to bigger and better things, including getting married in 1993, running for office unsuccessfully first, but then, of course, we know he won. He is the current governor of Wisconsin. Now, Scott Walker has actually won his gubernatorial race 3 times in the past 4 years, including that recall race by holding the line against teachers' unions and other organized labor.
You see, I think that sends a powerful message to Republicans in Washington and around the country. If you're not afraid to go big and go bold, you can actually get results.
Walker kind of catapulted himself to the front of the lead by giving that rousing speech at the Iowa Freedom Summit just a few weeks ago. Big applause there from the crowd. Now, according to the National Review, a few Walker advocates have expressed some concerns over supporting a presidential candidate who lacks a college degree. Even Walker says that is his biggest regret, not finishing college, and he hopes to go back one day to get his degree, even if it means going through a distance learning program. He talked about this too in his other gubernatorial races, though. Interesting note here, there of course have been plenty of successful people who never got a college degree, including GOP megadonor Sheldon Adelson. So that's something that Adelson and Scott Walker have in common. Maybe they'll find common ground. And we were also going to mention Brian Williams here. He does not have a college degree, but at this point, I don't know if it's appropriate to mention success with that story going on about the helicopter in Iraq.
Well, I think it's appropriate to mention here that if he is elected president, Scott Walker would be the first Harry S. Truman, the first since Harry S. Truman,
correct,
to have not graduated college. But then again, the first 3 presidents in a row this time, they have postgraduate degrees this time that we're seeing here. But really, I don't know if Americans are going to be that concerned about a college degree or not. I think they're going to be more concerned if somebody can balance the budget and keep us from getting involved in long-term wars again.
Yeah, and we hear the current president talking about the need for free 2-year colleges for a lot of folks. I think this is an interesting aspect to the debate. Is college really necessary for everybody in this country? Scott Walker apparently proving maybe not so.
If he gets elected, he's going to be able to look him in the eye and say, I did it without a college education, but I would prefer that everybody do get one. There you go.
Exactly. And we should say, too, that data bears out that if you do go to college, you make more money down the road, but not the same for everybody.
We are not telling everybody to not go to college
Correct.
and then get elected president. Let's make sure that's very fair right there. All right, John, always a pleasure. Thanks a lot, buddy. All right, second hour here on MidPoint is imminent. The former Surgeon General of the United States weighs in on American health policy and the measles vaccination issue. And the governor's own cabinet wants him ousted. Rick Scott's troubles in Florida might be just beginning. And why is it that we're not shocked to hear it coming from the state of Florida? That and so much more when MidPoint continues.